We are entering the final month of the legislative session at the state capitol, and in this final stretch, we can see that just like other years, it is hard for ideas to become laws. A good example is when session began, there were more than 3,200 bills filed. Oklahoma Realtors identified about 150 that were potentially impactful to us, and our committee selected 45 of those bills that really mattered, supporting about 25, opposing 15, and monitoring the rest. With about 700 bills in total remaining active, 6 of our support bills are still active with a chance to become law, and there are 2 more active bills that we are carefully monitoring. And all 15 bills that we opposed have been set aside or did not pass this year. The point? Even for organizations like ours, with political clout and policy expertise, achieving our legislative priorities takes time, energy, and sometimes repeated efforts to get it done and get it right. In 2025, we identified 3 critical targets for Oklahoma Realtors. First, the creation of an Oklahoma Housing Opportunity Commission is a multi-year priority to ensure we can capture every possible dollar available to Oklahoma, private and federal funds we are currently missing out on, and utilize them to build the necessary infrastructure needed to create more housing. This pro-growth idea didn't have a bill attached to it this year, but we have had productive conversations with legislative leaders, and we've begun incorporating our federal representation into the conversation so they can provide guidance on how to capture federal funds most effectively. Next, our Homeowners Association transparency legislation seeks to set reporting standards and cap the cost associated with HOAs producing and reporting changes in their covenants and restrictions or other guiding documents. This is intended to set modern HOA standards and provide proper protections for property owners and potential buyers so that they know the rules before they buy. However, it impacts more than just our association. As the final language was presented by bill writers at the Capitol, it became clear that the final language could adversely affect the housing industry in an unintended manner. This bill will continue to be refined for the 2026 session. And our final priority seeks to enhance consumer protection, minimize the risk for brokers and agents, and to level the playing field for all real estate practitioners by making the memorialization of buyer-broker agreements a law required for every transaction. You've likely heard about this bill, and maybe you have an opinion about it. As an association, we think it is critical for our industry. But we also recognize that as an association, we have a process, one which works. Ideas come from members, through volunteers on committees, and eventually to elected and appointed leaders on the board of directors or the executive committee. No single voice, not even mine as president, gets to set the policy objectives or to determine if we call it quits on an issue. Our staff has worked hard, and they are confident that this legislation will pass. At the same time, our staff and elected volunteers have also heard from members who have valid concerns about the potential impact of this legislation. Enough so that we have directed staff to work with the bill author to lay this legislation over for further consideration in 2026, giving our association time to evaluate even more thoroughly the impact it would make. We will continue to work on tweaks to the policy language, as well as the resources for our members to understand the policy objective this summer when the committee begins working in earnest on 2026 legislative priorities. If this process is intriguing to you, or if you would like a say in how and what we do, it's time to get involved. Change starts at the committee level, and on May 30, applications will open for you to apply for committee and leadership positions within the association. I hope you will apply. I hope you will get engaged. Help us make a difference. Until then, stay in touch.